and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Ticket Walmart. In this episode, we're going to talk to you about WFS, also known as Walmart Fulfillment Services. So Walmart Fulfillment Services is very similar to FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. So we're going to talk to you about the similarities and differences in this episode, and we'll also just show you how to set everything up and how to apply all the things that you need to know in order to get started with WFS. So David, what is the application process like for WFS? Is it difficult to get accepted, and how long does it take to get accepted to WFS?
WFS used to have a little bit more of a restricted user base, but recently Walmart has just been accepting almost everyone as long as you have one listing live. So once you get your first listing ready to go and it shows live and you've already selected set my account to go live, just go ahead and apply for WFS immediately and you should get accepted quite quickly. Yeah, there's not really much in terms of requirements. There's like very basic just guidelines for what they want, but most sellers should meet those criteria.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good point to note that now people are getting accepted pretty quickly, whereas in the past it might have taken a little bit longer. So
for sure,
for anyone who had that experience in the past, it is definitely moving a lot faster now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, WFS has been expanding. They've been increasing warehouses at a very fast rate. They started like mid last year, had 2 warehouses, and now they are, I think, almost at 10, maybe even above that at this point. So they're really trying to make sure that every seller does have the availability to use WFS, as they're really trying to push that platform similar to Amazon, right? It's very hard to get your listings going without FBA. Similarly on Walmart, they're trying to get it that the standard is WFS.
Let's talk about the benefits of WFS. Is there any kind of a benefit to utilizing WFS that would make people kind of want to move some inventory into their fulfillment services, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so WFS, similar to FBA, is going to be cheaper fulfillment than fulfilling yourself, especially to get that 2-day rate. And that, I would say, is the biggest benefit. On the platform right now, there's still many sellers that are behind and fulfilling themselves and have 5-day shipping or even longer than that. Just having that 2-day badge on your listing, and it's such a big boost to your conversions, as this is what people want these days. People want to see that 2-day shipping. And in general, if you think about it, Walmart is making money off of every sale that they get through WFS, additional to what they would get off of non-WFS listings, which incentivizes them to rank that listing even higher. Although that might not be clearly defined, there's definitely something going on through their algorithm. So an additional benefit is the simplicity with WFS. You don't have to handle your own fulfillment. It's not the headache of having to manage your own warehouse. WFS will take care of your orders for you. Just go ahead and make sure to keep inventory in stock, and Walmart will handle the rest.
All right, David, let's talk about Walmart fulfillment fees and how they might compare to Amazon fulfillment fees.
Sure. So WFS is definitely competitive with FBA. It's slightly cheaper and overall just as beneficial. So let's go through the 2 different fees that Walmart has. So there's the fulfillment fee as well as the storage fees. And we're just going to go to this screenshot over here as we could see the different fees. So we have what's called a Walmart weight. The Walmart weight is determined based on the length, width, and height of the product. So length times width times height divided by 139, and that's compared to the weight of the product itself. So whichever is higher, that is what's considered the Walmart weight. And based on that weight that we've determined, there's now different fees. So you have for the 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, and then it goes increasing from there, both by we have the basics, which most sellers are going to have like 1 to 5 pounds. And then we have for some of the larger items, 20 pounds all the way up. And as you can see, there's different price points, how it increases per pound, between 4 and 20 pounds and so on. Now, just to note here, anything from 31 pounds and above, as you can see, it is a lower shipping cost, and that is because there is not going to be 2-day delivery because it's going to have to go ground due to the size. Now, in addition to this, there are 2 more things we need to factor in. The first is we need to add a 1/4 pound for packaging. So in addition to the Walmart weight that we determined, just add a 1/4 pound, and that is going to be your actual weight of your product. And for apparel and hazmat items, there is an additional 50-cent charge. So those are just the 2 things to note. Now, the other fee is the storage fee, which is broken down into the typical season as well as peak season, which is the 4th quarter, October to December. And the rate is 75 cents per cubic foot per month. And for peak season, it's an additional $1.50 per month. if it's been in inventory for more than 30 days. So it's really, if you're selling your products and they're moving fast, you should be good over here, but you are subject to that additional charge if you have your inventory sitting there. So there's one more charge that if you do have inventory sitting for over a year, they do charge you a high fee of $7.50 per cubic foot per month. They're just trying to make sure that you're not just leaving your inventory over there. So make sure to keep your inventory only what's selling. If you have a product that's not selling, just get rid of it. But a year is really a long time to really try get that product to move. If you are dealing with oversized items, there's this little graph around the bottom for those fees and how they're charged.
So some people are, not sure how much to send in at the beginning. They don't want to send in too much or too little. So what are your recommendations for how much inventory someone should initially send into WFS?
WFS has pretty good rates as well. They have partnered with FedEx for sending inventory into WFS. So there's no reason to really make a huge shipment or a smaller shipment. We always suggest sending in on the smaller side just to make sure that the product does begin to move. So one case pack is a pretty normal amount, let's say 24 units of a product. And that should also give you enough time that once you see sales start to move, a good amount would say, let's say it's one product per day. That gives you enough time to prepare another shipment and send it into WFS so that you don't run out of stock for a few days. So typically lean to the lower side just so you could actually make sure that things are going to work out for this product, because you are dealing with a different marketplace. Even if your product is absolutely killing it on Amazon, you don't know how it's going to perform on Walmart, and some product that was not doing well might be doing exceedingly well. So send in one case pack for really all your inventory just to see how things are moving and go from there. If you are dealing with a lot of variations, it does get a little trickier. So you could even go with lower quantities than that. In general, fulfillment with variations does become a little bit more complex. Now, one nuance to this is that if you are, let's say in a different country, let's say you're fulfilling out of Canada or from Mexico, and you need to pay a fee to get over into the US, in that case, it becomes a little bit more difficult to send in the lower case packs, as you do have to pay a fee for every shipment that you do send in.
The first thing we have to do when you want to start shipping products into WFS is you have to convert items in Seller Center to WFS. So the first time I did it, it was a little bit tricky for me. So is there a way that you could walk us through converting an item to WFS?
There are two different methods to convert to WFS. You can do it through the UI, which will allow you to do one SKU at a time, or you can use a bulk file. Now, I would typically suggest when you set up the listings in the first place to set them up as WFS listings. This way you don't have to go through this two-step process of creating the listings and then converting them to WFS. Similarly, you can do this both through the UI or through the flat file. There are a few more requirements for the WFS listings, which is why they have a separate upload file, and in the UI, when you select WFS, there are a few more fields. And it's really just more compliance issues. WFS needs to make sure that your products are a good fit for the warehouse and they're not going to be, let's say, hazmat issues or the dimensions aren't oversized. So let's go ahead and we'll start first with the UI on how to convert a listing to WFS. And we're going to start over here with, we're just going to head to the screen. So as you can see here, there's 5 products. 2 of them are Walmart fulfilled and 3 are seller fulfilled. And in the end of the day, it is the same product, so there's no difference if it's Walmart fulfilled or seller fulfilled. And even if you are still fulfilling by seller and you're not doing WFS, but you want to have your listing as WFS eligible, that is a status that you will see. For example, when we convert this item, you will see WFS eligible once it's been converted. So let's go ahead and we'll work on converting this listing specifically. To begin, we are going to need the UPC, as that is what we will use to select the product to convert. So let's just go into the item here and let's go ahead and copy this UPC or GTIN. So we're going to want to head over to update items over here, and there's 2 options: convert single item to WFS and convert items in bulk. This is through the UI and this is through a flat file. So we're going to start with the UI. And the first thing we need to do is select the item identifier. In this case, it's a GTIN. We're going to go ahead and paste in the GTIN we copied before and hit enter. Now Walmart's just searching to find this product on the marketplace, and it's going to confirm that this is indeed the product we're trying to convert. This is similar to when you're adding an item, if Walmart will check to see if the item already exists. So Here it is the product. You say, yes, it is. And now you can see there are 4 fields here. And as you can see, these 3 are not green, which means that there's some data that we need to fill out. So here's our first one that we are coming up to is the Prop 65 warning text. So this is one of the compliance questions that Walmart has to see if this product is categorized under one of the products that requires a Prop 65 warning text. If it does, there is a specific text that you can find online. Otherwise, you would select none. In this case, this product is not subject to the Prop 65 text, so we're going to type in just none. You do lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter as long as it just says none. All right, as you can see, that is it in terms of item content. The next thing we're going to check is offer. And over here, this is regarding a restriction type, if there's a sales restriction on the item. Certain products are not allowed in certain states or zip codes. So if we select this little drop down, it'll ask you what is the restriction. In this case, there are no restrictions, so we're going to select none. And if there are restrictions, you'd have to put in the state code and zip codes over here. As you can see, the offer is now complete. The final stage is the fulfillment and compliance. And here, this is a new one. If you go to a typical item setup, you should only see item content, imagery, and media, and offer. But for WFS, you will see the fulfillment and compliance. So on top here, they ask you for the country of origin. We then have the orderable GTIN. We're just going to use the same one from the actual GTIN. Paste that here. Similar is the each GTIN. So this is if you have like a case pack with different GTINs on the box. Honestly, just go ahead and put in the same GTIN across the board. You're not going to see any issues. And then it just asks you for the DIMS of the product, and that's the final, no, there's actually a few more. The next is we have to add the DIMS of the product. We should have this accurate, but Walmart will check this for you and update it automatically. So if there's not something you have on hand, just go ahead and put in some just standard dimensions or just guesstimate what you believe it is. And this is going to be the dimensions as well as the weight. All right. The next thing we have over here, obviously try putting in accurate information if you have it, but if it's something that's not easily accessible to you, take a good estimate of what it is, and Walmart will update this for you, and you are able to download a report with the dimensions Walmart has. The process WFS has is as soon as the product gets into the warehouse, if they have not yet had this item in their system, they'll use a Cubiscan to make sure that the dimensions are accurate. And obviously this plays a big role because dimensions impact both the storage fee as well as the fulfillment fees. All right, the next field we have is contains electronic component. This is a hazmat issue, and we're going to go no. Contain battery type does not contain battery. Contains chemical aerosol or pesticide, and it does not. All right, and that's it for everything over here. As you can see, we're now green. There are some more recommended attributes over here. This is for like the inner pack, case pack. Most of this, if you have a pallet, most of this is not really applicable, and it doesn't really need to be filled out for standard sellers. So we're just going to go ahead and hit submit changes and just finalize that. And now it's going to push that through a feed ID over here, and we have to now wait for it to go through. Now, most items should go through without any issue, but if there are any issues, they will go to a location called WFS items on hold. And our product's not going to be here because it should be fine and the feed is still going through. But if you have, let's say, some hazmat items items that might trigger a hazmat warning, for example, I've seen with face mask spray, because it just has the words face mask in it, which is a restricted category on Walmart, it'll automatically just throw it into here. Walmart will need to do some reviews and then push it through or not push it through. You could go ahead and perform different actions here if you want to go ahead and try get your items pushed through. You could open up cases to work on this, but this should really be more for a little bit of more restricted items. Most items shouldn't have an issue here. So now we just have to go ahead and wait for this to go through. We can go to our activity feed to see how it's going. As you can see, we're still in pending. And this could take a few minutes. It could take up to 4 hours. So it's really not so predictable. Walmart has great days. They have slower days. So just let the Walmart gods decide. All right. Oh, it says process now. So it looks like we're on a good day. Let's go back here and see if it went through. All right. So as you can see here, it did go through. And now you have a little badge here saying WFS eligible. Item has been converted and it's ready to be used for WFS. Great. So now you can see the three statuses. There's Walmart fulfilled, seller fulfilled, and then seller fulfilled and WFS eligible. When you go ahead and download your item report through Manage Reports, the status for fulfillment type will be WFS eligible, just so that you know it is currently being fulfilled by seller, but it does have the ability to be used for WFS.
That was very, very helpful for just learning how to convert your one item at a time. So could you go over if you wanted to convert multiple items into WFS? Can you show us what that process looks like?
Sure. So what we're going to do for that is I'm going to download a file. I could either go from scratch, which if I go to convert items in bulk, I do have the ability to do it by category, and I could just go ahead and select my category and download it. But I'd rather go by GTIN match, which will, instead of having to fill out all this information from scratch, there will be the existing information from the listing. So what we'll do is I'm going to take the GTINs for the 2 remaining products here that are still seller fulfilled. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I have the GTINs copied now. I'm going to go to update items and convert items in bulk. I'll go to by GTIN match, and I'm going to paste my GTINs over here and go ahead and hit match. Now, this also could take a few minutes. Typically, it won't take too long, especially it's only 2 products. Sure enough, here it is. We're going to go ahead and download this file. All right, and here we can see what's required and not required. So the first one here is blue, and these fields are all required. So as you can see here, the same field, it will be the same fields, just in this format. So let's just go through this. There is restriction type. We're going to go ahead and hit none. Just go ahead and drag that down here. These do not need to be filled out unless there are restrictions. Okay, same thing over here. We have Prop 65. Going to fill out none over here and drag that down. Let's keep moving down here. There is a small parts warning code if that's applicable. This is just all standard things that you would have filled out when you initially did the listing, but if you did not, make sure it gets filled out over here. And then the reason I like to do it by GTIN rather than downloading the file is for this reason, right? Getting the main image URL, getting the product name. Like there are certain fields here that would be a bit of a pain for me to just manually have to fill out. But if I go ahead and download it, it's already all here. This is recommended section, so this does not need to be filled out. You have additional images here as well as the MPN. And next here we have required for compliance. So it contains electronics, we have no. Contains chemical, this was already selected, and contains battery type, does not contain battery type. All right, next we have some conditional. This is based on the previous ones here with hazmat. So if it does have an electronic component, or if it does have some aerosol pesticide chemicals, any of this information here will be conditionally required over here. You need to put in the battery information as well as just a SDS if you have any other information. All right, we're just gonna head to the end here, and this is just the site date, start date, and end date. Now, as opposed to the standard sheet that you would use for uploading for WFS, there is an additional tab here called Trade Item Configurations. And as we can see here, there are just a few more of those fields, and that was also that 4th tab that we saw in the manual one. All right, we have the country of origin. This is a drop-down. Let's go ahead and get China. All right, then we have each GTIN. We're just gonna go ahead and copy this. And we're gonna just paste values. Always, whenever you're working with Excel to do these sheets, always make sure to paste values because there are default formatting on all these different fields. So if you're pasting from some other source, you could mess up the formatting, which is, I find, the #1 issue people have with these sheets is they're just pasting in the wrong formatting. Everything's just getting messed up and nothing's working. So always make sure to paste values only. All right, we're gonna do dims and weights here over here. Let's just go ahead. 2, 5, 4, and 1. And as you can see here, there's a little green line that just indicates these are the recommended ones, like inner pack information, but this is what is required up until here. All right, we have everything fully filled out. Now, I'll just go ahead and save this file. Always name your files nicely. All right, and now we're going to just need to upload that here. We could drag and drop it in, or you could just go ahead and find it on your computer. All right, and here's our file. Just select it and hit submit. And if there are any errors, you'll get an X here, and it'll prompt you to download the report immediately. But in this case, it went through because I did it. And if we look in the activity feed, we will see the status here. Now, as you can see, it's not here. This is because it takes a couple seconds or a minute to get to this. You can keep refreshing, and sure enough, here it is. And now we're subject to waiting again to see if this goes through. If there are any errors, we'll be able to download an error report from here as well. Okay, sure enough, we can see here, these 3 products are all now WFS eligible. So we could go ahead and create our shipment to send in this inventory.
Okay, so now that we've got the items converted to WFS, now we do have to go ahead and create a shipment. So can we go ahead and walk everyone through how to create their first shipment for WFS?
Let's do it. So WFS is all managed over here under the WFS tab. There can be some issues with this where if you click on it, it might just show you a blank white screen. If that does happen, it's typically something with the cache and might need to be cleared. The easiest fix is just open an incognito browser and work from there. Alternatively, if you restart your computer, you should be good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and work on sending an inventory to the aptly named Send Inventory tab. All right, so when you click Send Inventory, this is going to take you to pretty much your shipment manager, your WFS shipment manager. We can see previous shipments that we've made, and we can also go ahead and create a new shipment. Similarly to most other parts on Walmart, there is the ability to do this through the UI, which is adding individual products, or alternatively, you could bulk upload an order using a flat file. We'll go through both of these processes. So let's begin with create inbound order through the UI. So the first thing you need to fill out is the expected delivery date. Now, regarding how to send inventory to WFS, you could either do this yourself, you could send pallets if you have any sort of transportation method, but Walmart has partnered with FedEx and they have very good rates. So I would suggest using the WFS FedEx, and we'll go through that a little bit down. There's also, you would need to fill out your return address. The next field we need to fill out is the expected delivery date. Now, if you're shipping an inventory yourself to WFS through one of your own carriers, try putting as accurate as possible so Walmart knows when to anticipate this shipment. Walmart has partnered with FedEx and they have amazing rates which we suggest using. So if you have an idea of how many days it would typically take, just go ahead and put that in, and we could always just change this later. You will also be putting in tracking information. So this is really more to help Walmart just know when they can anticipate the shipment. I'm going to set this for next Monday. The next thing we need to do is add items to the shipment. So you have multiple different options over here. I like to go typically by the SKU or the GTIN. I have the GTIN right now copied, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And sure enough, here's our product. And you could continue to add multiple products over here. Let's just add another one as well. Here's the second product. And as you can see here, it already shows added to order if you already have put that product here. All right, here's the next one. We're going to go ahead and select that. And now we have both of these selected over here. All right, we just go ahead and close this out. And what we now need to do is add in the item quantity, the pack configuration, and the units per case if that is something you're dealing with. So you could always just go ahead and just put in how many units you're shipping. Let's say you're shipping 50 of each, and you just want to put individual. That means a case pack of 1 as if you're shipping them alone. Any information that you could help Walmart with receiving would help. So let's say they come in case packs of 25. You could go ahead and put case pack and then enter 25. But either way, it really works. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for both here. I'll do case packs of 25. As you can see, everything has now been completed and you have the option to now submit the order. Something that's nice over here is that Walmart does give you the option to view the recommended items to replenish. So they do have a whole method for what they anticipate that you should send in based on velocity and just general forecasting that they provide you with. So you could have an idea of how many days left are remaining for different products based on their metrics, and you could use that information to help. Now, obviously, it's not going to be 100% accurate, especially with like seasonal products. And so it's definitely just something to keep in mind. And we previously discussed how to like send inventory in. We will also need to discuss a little bit how to project future sales. And we'll take a look at that with some reporting a little later. Let's just go ahead for now and submit the order. All right, as you can see, it's now been successfully created, and we could go ahead and view it in the view shipment. And now here we see on our send inventory page, we now have these 2 shipments. And so there is, as you can see over here, the inbound order ID. So this is not something that you can manually change through the create inbound order, but if you are doing a bulk upload, you are actually able to enter it in. And then you have the shipment ID, which is automatically generated from Walmart. And if you do have any questions regarding the shipment that you have to discuss with WFS, I always suggest using the shipment ID. All right, yeah, so let's jump into that over here with the bulk upload order page. Now there's a template over here. We're just gonna go ahead and download this. And we can see all the fields that they are requesting for this. Now, because it is through a flat file, there's just more information that they are requesting of us. Okay, so here is the inbound order ID. We could change this to reflect if you have an internal structure for your shipments. It will just be a standard, just WFS and then dash a number. That's the basic one they'll give you, as well as just some generic information across the board here. So right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and put in WFS, and then I'm gonna put in /today's date. That's just the structure we're gonna use over here. And now you have to also fill in the return address from the top here. We're gonna put in the same information. Okay, now here we need to go ahead and fill out the rest of the information. Expected delivery date we put in for next week. Now you do have to match their formatting, so let's go ahead and do that. The 9th, I believe. And now we also have to put in the product type ID. So here is a drop down. You have either UPC, EAN, or GTIN. We're going to go ahead and use GTIN for this. And let's go ahead and paste in our GTINs. Remember, whenever pasting into sheets, always paste Control-Alt-V. If you don't like using shortcuts, you can go ahead and paste special and go ahead and hit text. Some people don't have keyboards, I understand. All right, so let's go ahead and delete the rest of this information here and fill it out with hours. So we need the vendor SKU. So unlike with the UIs, creating your order, which you just have to fill in one of these fields, they do request more information here. The item description, you don't have to go to your listing and get the description. Just give them a generic terminology of what you believe the item, like an easy way to distinguish what the product is.
Like coffin shelf?
Yeah, exactly. Coffin shelf, purple, or something like that. It's the same two products as in this shipment, so I'm just going to take a look over here just to get the SKU. Something to note, when you are pasting it from another source, you could have this issue where, like you just saw, it just pasted into another cell. The reason for that is I copied a space with me in the beginning. So the solution for that is I normally just click into the cell and just paste into there and then just delete the space. Otherwise, you can just come back here and make sure that you just try to get, it's very hard. You can't really see it, so. All right, for the item description, let's just do coffin shelf, pink, and then coffin shelf, purple. Okay, now we have to put in the quantities over here. Let's just expand these fields so we can fully read them. Item quantity, total of sellable units, so we're gonna do 50 of each. Vendor pack quantity if you have, so we're going to put 25. And then inner pack quantity is, number of cases is going to be 2 of each, and we're going to put 25. So same thing over here, it's just there's an additional field over here for the number of cases and then units per case. So 2 times 25 is 50. You could just go here across the board, just put 1 and 1. That works as well, but try help Walmart out wherever you can. All right, and now let's go ahead and save this file. And let's go ahead and upload it. So head back here, go to our bulk upload order, select the file or drag and drop, and let's go ahead and submit the template. It's going to take a little bit to load. If they notice any issues, it will tell you. Otherwise, here we see our shipment. You could hit the little drop down, it tells you about it, and you could acknowledge it. And now you can see here are the 2 shipments. As you can see, we're able to nicely name this one versus this automatically generated number here.
Okay, so now that we have the shipments created, now we have to go to the next step, which is to prepare the shipment. So can you walk us through that next step?
Let's do it. So we're gonna go ahead over here and click prepare shipment. And there are 3 tabs. There's items, which is the first step. And you have the ability to download this, or if you want to update the shipment quantity, if you want to change. You don't have the ability to add new items, so if you want to do that, you will have to create a new shipment. Then you have shipment and labeling, as well as tracking. So let's go ahead to shipment and labeling. This is the second step. And here is where we previously discussed with the WFS preferred carrier, which hint it's FedEx. And then you have other carrier, which is if you wish to do it yourself. And so as you can see here, FedEx automatically selected. You can't really mess with that. And now you just have to select your ship from address. So you could have saved addresses over here and just go ahead and select that and it'll automatically fill out all that information. All right, so there's just one other field that needs to be filled out, which is the contact name. We'll put in Bradley's name here. All right, we have a phone number as well over here. It's a famous 1234567 number. And you could also save the address for future use. And as you can see over here, the ship to, so currently you cannot choose where you want to send your WFS shipment to, which warehouse. So unfortunately, you might get a warehouse that's really far and you might have a higher rate for your shipping. It's currently not something you can change. You could try to submit a ticket with Walmart to see if they'll help you out, but currently you definitely cannot select it yourself, though this is something that we anticipate to see in the future. All right, so this is the WFS preferred carrier method, which is to use FedEx, and now we just need to go ahead and select the package details. So you could either go ahead and, again, manually enter the package details or upload a document with the details. For this case, I think it just might be simpler just to enter it manually. If you have single box, multiple boxes, same idea here, number of packages 1, box weight. So this is in the event I put, let's say both. I have in this case four cases, 25 units each, and I'm going to be consolidating into one box and using that for FedEx. The box weight over here, we're going to put in 110 pounds. The length, well, let's say it's just about, let's say 25 by 25 by 25. Let's just put that information in. Obviously be accurate over here. And then it does say mixed SKUs over here. You do also have the option to put multiple boxes if you want to do that as well, and you could just add another package as you continue going down here, but in this case we're just a single box. Let me just fill that out again. All right, and as you can see, it goes down to the third decimal point, and now we just go ahead and confirm and calculate charges, and it will let us know over here it's going to cost you $21.07, which I think is a great rate. I agree and accept charges, but we're not going to do that, obviously. Okay, so to do a bulk upload, you have to make sure that it shows no package selected and that this is just from before, it's fine. We're just going to go ahead and upload package detail. We're going to need to download the template. And for this, let's go ahead and enable editing. Package number over here does not mean like 1, 2, 3, 4. It really means total number of packages. The wording is a little interesting. So let's just go ahead and just do 111. And this is just if, let's say, you have multiple of a single box and fewer of other ones. This is really useful if you have a really big shipment. So let's go ahead and put in our information here for these products. All right, and then the last thing is if it's a single SKU or mixed SKU. All right, perfect. And you can't edit this, so don't try. Go ahead and save that, and it does obviously tell you the total shipment quantity, which is total number of pieces. Let's go ahead and select file, and all right, package upload successfully. It doesn't give you a preview because this could be really big. You just go ahead and confirm and calculate charges. As you can see here, 4 packages, 108, and the charge is a little bit more than just a single package. You can just go ahead and I agree and accept charges. All right. You do also have the option to use another carrier if you want to do it yourself. You could do this small parcel, or you could do LTL, and there's all the instructions over here. So let's say for small parcel, you have to do the number of single boxes. Let's say it's 1 box or 4 boxes in this case. Number of mixed SKU boxes, we'll put in 0. And now it just gives you a little bit of a brief routing guide on how you should label this. You can go ahead and also just get this is a label that Walmart requires over here. So you just go ahead and select what size you want, and you could print the receiving labels. Speaking of printing labels, actually a really nice point over here. Items that are sent into WFS require the UPC to be on the product. So on the items page, you have the option to print a little label for your products. You could do this either 1 label per page on a 2x1 if you have that, or if you have A4 size sheet with like an Avery sheet, 21 labels per page, or you have a standardized 30 labels per page on this size, the US letter size. So it just gives you 3 different options. This is one of the newer features on WFS, and it's honestly really good, especially if you need to relabel your products if they're not already on there. So utilize this to the full extent and just go ahead and print as PDF. All right, the other option is LTL, and this is just they have an additional field for number of pallets, but everything else is the same, and you do need to go ahead and print this to match the routing guide information over here. All right. Once that's been done, you have the tracking information. So this is if you have an outside source, just go ahead and enter in the person that's doing fulfillment for you, the carrier name, and then the tracking numbers. If there's multiple, just paste a bunch of them and hit submit, and that will all display nicely over here. If you are doing it through WFS and FedEx, this information should automatically populate. Okay, and that's it. Now we have created our shipment and we're good to go and send it in.
Awesome. Okay, so I do have another question for you. So when somebody buys your product and then returns it to WFS, is there a process? Do they just automatically ship it right back to you, or do they put it back into inventory? What is the process for returns with WFS?
So that's a great point, and customers can either return the product directly or they can go ahead and drop it off in any Walmart location. Speaking of returns, I just want to make a note of this. This is potentially one of the few drawbacks of WFS, is that it is considered sold and shipped by Walmart, which falls into Walmart's standard 90-day return policy, as opposed to as a seller, you have the option to have as low as 30 days. So if there are any drawbacks to WFS, I would say maybe this is it, that there is a longer return period allotted to customers, but it comes at much greater benefits. But let's go ahead and talk about the returns. So I just have an article pulled up over here, which includes all the information from Walmart with this, and just kind of goes through the return process. And there are a few different options here. In a standard case, it always goes back to WFS Fulfillment Center first. It doesn't go directly to you. And then from there, if it's a product that is able to be resold, it will just go back into your inventory. Otherwise, it goes into what is called the damaged inventory, and you have the option to either dispose of it or have them send it back to you. Now, there is a cost for the customer to send it back to WFS, and it's the same as the fulfillment fee to ship it out. So you will be charged for that. And if you want to kind of get around that, or if let's say it's already a little bit expensive for you and it's not even worth it for the customer to send it back to WFS, you could set up what's called keep it rules, which allows customers based up to a certain price point to just keep the product if they want to return it. Now, this does allow people to kind of game the system a little bit to try to get free products, but at the end of the day, it might come out cheaper for you to just not have the person return it than for them to return it at a cost too, which might even be more than the product in some cases.
Say the products are have been returned to Walmart and they might not be sellable. Can you get those products back if you wanted to get them back? On Amazon, how you can do that?
For sure, yeah. So they can either dispose of it or there is a removal fee, which they could be, but either way, there is a charge for it. So there's a disposal fee or a removal fee, which means they'll send it back to you. And there is just different prices here if it's a standard item or a hazmat item. And here's just the breakdown over here of the pricing.
So once we've done all this shipping into WFS, how long does it take for these items to get checked into WFS?
Right, so it really depends on the season. We say it could take up to about 2 weeks, but honestly it's been much faster recently, especially since they've been growing locations and really trying to get this process to be as seamless as possible. So we've noticed it definitely has been dropped from the original 2-week time frame. But really just make sure to get your inventory in there as soon as you can so you can get your products live on WFS and get your products moving.
Say somebody doesn't want to use WFS. What are some other options that they have, alternative options to WFS?
So there are these other third-party services such as Deliver as well as Kahoot. There are a few more in the space that they do 2-day shipping, so you could use this for both quick fulfillment on Walmart, on Amazon, Shopify, wherever you want. So it kind of helps with inventory management that you don't have to be jumping around making sure you have inventory in WFS and FBA and all over the show. You just have one central location. Just make sure they have inventory and they'll fulfill to all these different places. it's definitely something to consider. Although I strongly just suggest using WFS, as it's the most seamless and gives you that nice little Walmart Plus badge on your listing.
Here's another question for you. I've had this question quite often. Can sellers fulfill their items for Walmart directly from FBA?
Do not do that. You will get shut down immediately. Walmart is very on top of this, and they'll use tracking to determine where you shipped it from. Don't be smart. Just fulfill it either yourself. It's not even worth the 2-day shipping. Just fulfill it yourself at this point. Do not use FBA for WFS. You will get shut down. I don't care if you're using Black Box. You will get shut down. Do not do it.
I think that was a really, really excellent overview of how to not only convert your products to WFS, but then how to create the shipments. I know when I first did this on my own, I struggled a little bit and got some help from David. He made it a lot easier. So I hope that this video was very helpful for you to get all of this set up with no problems at all. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.